So I think it's time to introduce our next competitor. He's a team member from Team Knockbox. He's representing El Salvador, working at a 1200 Café. Ladies and gentlemen, Javier Contreras.
Hi. Hi. Hi, nice to meet you. Hi. Hi. How are you? Do you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Are you ready? Well. Music, please. Time. Let's go into a little bit of history. A long time ago, the coffee became popular in such a way that was able to consider it as a beverage of kings and to be commercialized around the world. Many years after, started a different model of coffee shops. They were the pioneers of showing a different way of drinking coffee to the world. Many years, a couple decades later, it wasn't enough just the experience. We all wanted to know the whole information of the coffee we were drinking. That was the reason why the term direct trade became famous. And it wasn't until Trish Rogers in 2002 gave it the name of waves. At the time, we are at the beginning of the third way of coffee. But a couple years back, my coach and I came with a question. Where will the third way lead us? This day, you and I will figure it out. Please join me in discovering the fourth wave of coffee. The third way tells baristas how to understand the landscape of the coffee, from the producer to the cup. Currently, we are entering a new way of coffee. And this new wave, the focus has changed to how we achieve the highest quality extractions for each drink. In this case, your milk beverage. For this, my focus is centered around pH. For espresso, we know that ideal pH is 6.5, taking into account that a neutral pH is 7. I use a ratio of 1.9 to obtain a pH in my espressos of 6. This helps me utilize all of the protein in the milk, which create sweet flavors in your milk beverage. I am using 19 grams in to obtain 34 grams out. Okay, judges, in your milk beverage, you can feel vanilla ice cream, salt caramel, an aftertaste, a creamy body. Enjoy it. An aftertaste is butter. Gracias. Enjoy it. In understanding the science behind the coffee, baristas of the fourth way are daring to create a new coffee basic drinks. And new extractions. The best example for this are those extractions that I done here, which I will explain you in more detail later. Judges, enjoy your milk beverage. Meanwhile, I will start to prepare your espressos. Please, enjoy it. Thank you. Okay, judges, let's travel of the beginning of all of this, the process of my coffee. But before, take note of my espresso descriptors. Acidity is grapefruit. Sweetness is peach. Bitterness is sugar brown. Is a medium weight, a thin texture, and aftertaste is molasses. A couple years ago, talking about the process was simple, but all of a sudden, the world started to hear about them process, such as carbonic macerations, anaerobics, and double fermentation. The coffee that I brew for you today is a semi-washed pacamara. Normally, a semi-washed process was unpulp the coffee, wash it, and dry it. Simple. My process is a semi-washed, but not use any semi-washed process. Let me explain you in a moment. Okay, judges. Now, I want you to follow my instructions. First, evaluate the crema of the espresso, but don't drink it yet. Don't drink it yet. Evaluate. Thank you. Now, pour the espressos on the cupping bowl in front of you. An espresso cup, put it over here. Please, pour the espressos on the cupping bowls. pour the espressos. Pour. Thank you. Espresso cup, put it over here. Here, espresso cup, thank you. Now, take the bowl with espresso and swirl 5 times as a cup of wine. By doing this, the espresso will be brighter and sweeter, and also it will inject oxygen to the drink, make all flavors clear to discover. Judges, enjoy your espressos, and I will be back with the most interesting part of all of this. Thank you. Okay, judges. Ever Diaz is the producer of Finca Milady. This coffee farm is located in Chalatenango, El Salvador, at 1,400 meters above sea level. This coffee farm always was on the top of the Cup of Excellence in El Salvador, but it was until this year that won the first place. So I was wondering what Ever Diaz make different to win the Cup of Excellence in El Salvador. But let me explain you later. Okay, judges. Ever Diaz always has done a normal semi-watches process to this pacamara of 80 hours fermentation time. But because of the weather, cloudy and wet, the fermentation takes longer, and it reached its point after 30 hours. And all this time, the two most important groups of bacteria on the fermentation, which are the lactobacillus and streptococcus, has more time to convert the fructose of the mucilage to sugar into the coffee, basing off a lactic fermentation to a malolactic fermentation. Very similar of the fermentation of the wine. The result, more complex acidity and more defined flavors in the cup. All of this give me an idea. Why not use the fructose of the cascara of this pacamara to make a fermentation like the kombucha? And the result was this. For this, I use a coffee cascara as a main element to obtain yeast. As a base, I use water and green tea. And as a substitute of the glucose, I use honey of the coffee blossom. All of this under an anaerobic fermentation process until reach acetic fermentation, similar as acidity of my espressos. I will use a half ounce of these fermentations to enhance effervescence and balance the acidity of the drink. Well, I think one of the attributes of the baristas of the four-way is how to use science to make the ingredients that can combine with their coffees. And remembering the aftertaste of my espressos, taking advantage of cascara of this pacamara, I said, why not to create a molasses of this cascara? And the result was this. For this, Make an infusion with a medium temperature with a cascara, and I let it reduce to the 50% until I get a pH of 3.5, similar of malolactic fermentation. I will use half ounce of the molasses cascara to balance the acidity, the citrus acidity, and just 5 grams of simple syrup to balance the sweetness. I would blend it all for 3 reasons. 1, inject oxygen to intensify the flavors. 2, lower the temperature. And 3, add texture to the drink. Judges, please, I need to taste the acetic acid. Will remember you the first sip of my espressos. Go ahead, taste acetic acid. Now, please, taste the malolactic acid. This malolactic acid will get your palate with a similar aftertaste like my espressos. Now, please, now that your palate is charged with information, let's link everything in your brain by other sense, the sense of smell. By volatile aromas that are attached in the oil of the espresso crema, your brain will have a deja vu and bring to your memory the espresso flavors. Please, judges. No, please. Now, take the espresso cup and bring it to your nose to smell it, please. Sorry. Thank you. Now that you're, please, the descriptor of the drink are coffee blossom, peach, a creamy body, and aftertaste is molasses. Thank you for your attention. Time.
Give it up for the competitor from El Salvador, Javier Contreras. Javier, join me here, please. Yeah, you did it.
Yeah.
So before I'm going to talk to you, coach, first reaction.
It's more difficult here, and well, I try.
You tried. It was amazing to watch. So much text and everything went fluently, so very good. Would you like to thank somebody at home?
Yeah,
In Spanish.
En Spanish. A mis 2 hijas, que están pequeñitas, a toda mi familia, igual a mi novia, que sé que me está viendo, y pues, bueno, acá.
Okay, so he said thank you to his 2 children, family, and friends. So thank you very much,
Thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen.